What's up, Bills fans? It's official. It's official. Josh Allen named starting quarterback for week 2. But let's be realistic. Was there any other choice? Could there have been any other choice than to start Josh Allen? You want to talk about infuriating a fan base, having as apathetic a doom and gloom home opener as you ever would have seen at One Bills Drive, New Era Field, Rich Stadium, Buffalo Bills Stadium, the Ralph, whatever you want to call it. That would have been the most dark home opener ever if the Buffalo Bills would have ran Nathan Peterman out there as starting quarterback. And they had no other choice. I knew it from pretty much the second they ran Josh Allen out and decided to pull the plug on Peterman in the second half. I mean, the third start where he was put out of his misery once by force, the other by the coach's hand, and I'll get to him in a minute. A little bit of news broke this morning that it was going to be Allen. I didn't think it was much of a debate whatsoever. I even put it out there that I anticipate him being a starter as early as 7 a.m. And for me, it's not a shock whatsoever. None whatsoever. He gives all this talk of best chance to win, all these coach speak things that we hear, best chance to win. What's best for our football team. If that would have been tied in with Nathan Peterman starting this game, it really, wow. How could you say that? How could you look into a camera at the media and the fans? Because, like it or not, the way the head coach communicates with the fans is via the media and these press conferences. It really would have been bad. And that's 4 days to germinate. I mean, where the fans are just going to become more and more irate about this decision. And it wasn't the decision that we were fearing. You know, some fearing. I wasn't in any doubt that it was Josh Allen. And for all the reasons people say don't start him, I'm sorry. The guy took his fair amount of hits at Wyoming with so-called, you know, in a lot of ways what was seen as inferior talent, which we all know it's inferior talent at Wyoming compared to some of the other schools. He took a beating against the FCS schools, and he's still fine. Was still touted as a first overall pick at quarterback for 2 years running. And he's still standing. So if you're want to keep him in bubble wrap out of fear in what if scenarios, then you know what? You're never going to find out about the quarterback. You're never going to find out about the quarterback ever. There's these fictitious scenarios where fans believe that you have to have this. There's this perfect scenario where you put a quarterback in behind 5 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and 2 stud wide receivers. Those don't happen. Those don't happen. His size, his mobility, his improvisational skills are the reasons you do put him behind an offensive line that's not as good. Yeah, Rick, we talked about it yesterday at length. It's the only decision. It's the only decision. First, before I continue, I want to thank everybody that was in the live chat after that horrific game on Sunday. Everybody who had the gall, like just the energy after having endured such a terrible performance to come in here and spend 2 hours with me. Even if you just spent 10 seconds, I still appreciate it because sometimes I ramble. But it's like a weight was lifted, irregardless of how the game turns out. Irregardless of how the game turns out, whether Allen looks good, bad, or indifferent, it's still what you want to see. It's still what we want to see. It uplifts the fans. It uplifts the team, I feel. And Steve Tasker said something telling to me yesterday on the John Murphy show. He was the sideline reporter for CBS. He said he saw a noticeable change in the sideline, in the energy of the players when Allen was inserted as starting quarterback. And it just, players know. You know how they always say players know? They know how how much more superior Allen's talents are to Peterman's. They catch passes from both these guys. They watch these guys in the flesh on a daily basis, and they know at the end of the day how up against it Peterman is from a physical standpoint. And then when things start spiraling downward, Peterman doesn't have the ability to stabilize it. He just doesn't. They get worse because his physical ability is so lacking. Whereas Allen, you hope that he can extend the play. He can give you what's up, bro? Man, it's so refreshing that we got this out of the way. I thought they would announce it via one of their press releases last night, get out in front of it. I was surprised it got leaked a little bit this morning. Like I said, I put my name on it at 7. I'm nobody. I'm like, they're going to start this guy. They're starting Allen. Let's be real about this. How could you stand? I'm going to repeat myself. How could McDermott have stood in front of the media, in the fans, and said with a straight face, Nathan, what would you have done? I'm going to go ahead and start. We're starting Nathan Peterman on Sunday. We feel like it's best for our football team. And it's what we all would have been through the roof. Furious. There's no way he could have. Whether their hand was forced or not, let's be real. You look at the history of the NFL, whether it was a quarterback who failed or succeeded. A lot of times, these quarterbacks were put in because there was no other choice. I can go right to the top. Tom Brady got his chance because Mo Lewis severed Drew Bledsoe's lung on the sideline. He never hits Drew Bledsoe that way because Drew Bledsoe decided to run. We never know we're not suffering at the hands of Tom Brady for 20 years. Aaron Rodgers was put in after 3 years, right? 3 years. Green Bay still didn't know what they had. I said this last time because they drafted Brian Brohm in the 2nd round and just not knowing anything about Brian Brohm, not a day in their building, said they're going to have a quarterback competition. So they, by their own admission, not directly but indirectly, say we don't know who he is. After 3 years in our building, and these organizations will tell you that they are getting to know the player, this and that and the other thing. McDermott, he was fooled by Peterman twice. You cannot have allowed him to do it a 3rd time. Not ever. Because you know what? I put it on Twitter. He punctured the process twice, and McDermott allowed him to do it. McDermott has 2 black eyes, and they're both from Peterman's fists. You can't allow this kid to go out and embarrass your 3rd time. I told Rick, I met him when the team was here to play the Jets last year. He was very, very nice. He shook hands, took pictures with people, took his time, was very, very gracious. It's sad, but this is football. It's a production-based business. This is the move that they spent a year plus in the making to make. You made it. Now you find out about it. Is it what we like? Is it the perfect scenario? No. I could name more. Russell Wilson wasn't supposed to be the Seahawks starting quarterback. It was supposed to be Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn had some elbow condition a little bit. They had to sit him down. Russell Wilson starts getting more reps, so everybody starts looking at each other like, oh, Russell Wilson's a little more talented than we paid money to. Then all of a sudden it turns into a quarterback competition when Flynn is healthy enough to start throwing, and then it's painfully obvious that Wilson's a better player. Go look at Russell Wilson's statistics his first 2 games. They're not eye-catching. They're not, oh my God, he's blowing everybody away. A lot of these guys are babied. They're going to have to baby Josh Allen a little bit. But it couldn't be any worse than what we've witnessed in 2 games with Nathan Peterman, where he's been inserted. Well, there's been 3, but I don't count the snow globe game because it was just the conditions were so bad. And, you know, granted, the conditions weren't great last week, but still, how often do we see a game like that, even in Buffalo? It's not often. I can remember a game where the Bills played in Cleveland 8-0 against the Browns, where Jamal Lewis ran crazy on them. It was pretty bad snow in that game, but that they're rare. They're rare for all the hoopla about Buffalo conditions. There's a lot of wind, yes, because especially because the stadium is set in the ground. I just yeah, you just could not insert that guy into the lineup again. The second the team would have gone 3 and out, the boos would have came down if they weren't coming down already. The energy would have been completely out of the stadium, and the players feel it. The players feel it. The players know. The players like, oh, here we go again, and then the defense has to go back out there and defend the short field. Oh, there's another interception, or there's a strip sack, or something to that effect, and then there's the downward spiral once again. And next thing you know, there's another 48-10, 48-3 score hanging on the team's heads. And I, like we talked about yesterday, Rick, we have to come to the realization that this team, with a rookie quarterback, is probably looking at 0-4 right now, minimum. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have his work cut out for him, but if it's baptism by fire, then that's what it is. They're gonna have to run the ball. They're gonna have to get that going. It's nothing different than what we've seen with Tyrod for 3 years, or we saw with Tyrod for 3 years, where they have to start running the ball. Allen gives you the read option or the RPO choices that Peterman doesn't, because nobody respects Peterman to run. He can give you an improvisational first down, whether with his legs or a broken play. He breaks out of a sack, finds an open receiver, what have you. But yeah, everybody's got to play better. Everybody's got to play better. I mean, Peterman played like shit. To say Peterman played like shit is just, I know I keep repeating myself, is a compliment. He played so historically bad. And to think he did it again is even more baffling. He didn't do it once, he did it twice, but no more about Peterman. But the whole football team has to play better. Special teams shit the bed. From the botched punt they could have recovered. And maybe just made the game a little more respectable. The punter botching the snap and setting up the team at the 10. The defense getting gashed early on in the game, and by the time they settled down, it wasn't good enough. Baptism by fire is you get thrown in there, and here it is. Here you go, rookie. This is it. It's never perfect. It's never perfect. Very few quarterbacks come in and get the anointing oil as, hey, he's our day one starter. Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. There's very few guys who are that perfect scenarios for, because how many guys do you say come in the draft and every year they're like by far and away they are the number one quarterback. There's no other quarterback. It's them. There's very few of those. We always say we have to wait for those surefire guys, like, right? Is there ever a surefire time to start a quarterback? No. Been pounding the table for the Bills to draft a quarterback high forever, by hook or crook. We all have. They finally do it, and then everybody wants to complain about how and when he starts. There's no blueprint for it. You deal with the cards here. And I'll say this, the Bills made a lot of their own cards. Some of them of their own making, some of them by force. They came into a shitty cap situation. They came into a situation devoid of talent, as evidenced as the day before. They cut another draft pick made by the prior regime, Adolphus Washington. They signed a player that's probably more talented, taken a draft class before. But you look at this team, there's not a lot of drafted talent from prior regimes on this team. There's $50+ million just sitting around that's not on the field. And there's been specific instances where this team looked like that. They did not look like, they looked like a team that was hemorrhaging physically and from a talent point of view. They have to play, they know they have to play well on all three phases to win. I mean, they have to play above average to even sniff a chance to win. Do I think they'll play better this week? God, I hope so. Because I don't want to go put my neck out there and say, oh, yeah, they're going to play better. They're going to be, I want to, trust me, I'm a bit of a homer sometimes. We can all be homers. We want to stand up and say they're going to be better than they were. I don't know. We're going to have to just sit and watch. Because that looked so bad last week and they didn't look that great in the preseason. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see. But we're going to sit and watch now, having had the news that we got today, that it was definitely official. If it would have been Nathan Peterman, we would have sat there, watched 1 or 2 series. The game maybe gets out of whack really, really fast, and we're all just tuned out. We're just like, oh, my God, can we please let this end? I mean, me and Rick, a few other Bills fans, we're already talking about the draft. Oh, what's Nick Bosa going to look like in a Bills uniform? You know, it's overreaction week 1. That's the way it is. We don't watch this team play for 3/4 of a year. They go out and turn in a performance like that. What the hell else are we supposed to do? Because that was so bad. And I said I was going to touch on this. The whole football team looked like they were they just looked like they weren't ready to play. And that, aside from Peterman's ineptitude, was really, really alarming to me. That this team that's supposed to be built on effort, toughness, high energy, you know, all that stuff. We know we're underdogs. Everybody thinks we're going to be the worst team in the NFL. Okay, we're going to go out there and show you. Well, they went out there and showed everybody that they were right. And that's another bitter pill that we had to swallow. It wasn't bad enough Peterman had to go out and do what he did for a second time, make us suck on that one. It had to be like, oh, yeah, all those national prognosticators and talking heads who said the Bills were going to suck this bad and be this bad. Well, Vegas, all those people, they were right. That was what was as terrible as ever about last Sunday. And it just seemed like the game dragged on forever. It was like a boxer getting beaten and the corner wouldn't throw in the towel. We just had to sit there and continue to watch this beating because until the clock struck quadruple zeros. But thankfully, irregardless of what goes on, at least we'll be excited if Allen flashes. He makes a mistake. Oh, well. We can live with these mistakes. We can live with those imperfections right now because hopefully those scabs just callous up and he gets tougher from them. I mean, there was a quote from Peyton Manning, or was it Steve Tasker said something about Peyton Manning, that he learned a lot of valuable lessons from those ass kickings he took as a rookie in fourth quarters of games where everybody knew they were going to throw and they were down by 2 and 3 scores, that he learned a lot from those things, that he gleaned a lot more from those things just as much as he did from them, you know, prospering and winning. I remember there was a game that year they played a very, very good Jets team and they won by 1 score. And you knew then, aside from his pedigree, that the Colts were going to be in good hands for a long time. Can they look any worse? Who knows? Who knows? But I honestly, offensively, under the quarterback play or lack thereof of Peterman, I've never seen them look worse offensively or more inept. And I thought I had lived through it all, man. I thought I had seen, you know, I saw Trent Edwards at his worst, and that's Trent at least had some good games to fall back on where they could point and say, well, we've seen good stuff before. Peterman has nothing. Peterman has nothing to point to, and McDermott has nothing to point to other than maybe some practices and preseason games to say, well, Peterman, it's just that bad. And I found it laughable that it was even a discussion that if he should start again. I said it multiple times. It should be a discussion of whether he should be released. And they should pick up a Matt Moore or Derek Anderson and just say, hey, we're going to start Josh Allen. You're the veteran backup. Enough of this baloney, because it's just so embarrassing to run out Nathan Peterman in any way, shape, or form. That's it. That's it. But again, this whole team has to play better. And what McDermott said on Monday was a little. He's always going to use these platitudes when he talks about the football team. Whether it was that he said he didn't question their effort or their intensity. I did, because they didn't look like they were ready to play. And I don't know if he ties physicality and intensity in the same bucket. I do. And the team got run over. They didn't look ready to play. They looked a little confused. So I question it. I question whether they were ready to play or not, because they didn't look ready to play to me. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think you feel that they were ready to play, because the results to me always speak for themselves. A team that goes out there and gets their ass handed to them in that fashion is not ready to play. Were the Lions ready to play against the Jets Monday night in their house against a rookie quarterback? Hell no. Hell no. And they got their asses handed to them. That's a team that's not ready to play. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's be real about this. But we all know the way he operates. As critical of the team as but in the same press conference on Monday, this is the most critical thing I've ever heard him say about a football team. I'm going to paraphrase him. This is about the roster. He said, overall, as a roster, we're in the early part of our early part of year 2. So to say that it is a finished product wouldn't be accurate. So he's telling us right there that this roster is not close to what we'd like it to be. Without saying that, he says that. He's saying we're only in early part of year 2, 2 drafts, 2 free, and the free agent classes, if you look at them, they're just plug 1 year gap filler guys. They're not guys they invested in long term, like Starr and Trent. They're not, Hyde was a guy, Poyer was a guy. Those are 4 guys you could point to and say those are 4 guys that they invested in slightly long term, gave them decent contracts. So those are their guys. Draft guys are their guys. But as per the rest of the roster, they're just 1 year guys. 1 year guys. And me and Rick said that this team is going to turn over. And another Bills fan I got to give credit to is Eric, because he said to me a long time ago, he said, I want to see Allen. He said when the decision was made, I don't know why they're starting Peterman. It's ridiculous. There's no point. I always try to be the eternal optimist. And say, maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe he grew from this, got mentally tougher. He did look good in preseason. There's no way he could go out there and look that bad again. And, he did. And, my friend was right. He said, it's a waste of time starting Peterman. Irregardless of how it turns out, he said it's a waste of time. What is Allen learning by watching this guy go out there and, play good, bad, or indifferent? And not only that, it's not like Peterman has a big body of work to draw off of anyway that he can impart to Josh Allen. He doesn't. He's just as inexperienced of a quarterback. But that's going to change because Josh Allen's going to get to go in there and start. They need to run the ball. They have 3, I feel they have 1 really, really good running back, and they have 2 pretty talented ones. Murphy showed out well again. Those guys need to get work. You want to slow down a pass rush? Run the ball. You want to slow down a pass rush? Let them feel like a quarterback can run, and you have to pause. You want to slow down a pass rush? You want to make a defense have to play back and worry? Have your fucking cannon arm quarterback back there that can throw the ball almost the whole length of the field instead of a quarterback. We saw how close those Raven DBs were playing our Bills receivers. The reason they got no separation is they had no respect. Granted, the Bills don't have a great, robustly talented wide receiving core, but they knew their quarterback was so talent deficient arm-wise that they didn't have to respect it. It's like, this guy doesn't have the arm to make us fear shit. They played single high safety the whole time. They didn't even put 2 safeties in the middle of the field. It was just 1 safety. Everybody else played up on the line. Peterman held on. We all know what Peterman did. Held onto the ball. This was Peterman. He was just this. He looked like the deer in the headlights, Peterman. Poor guy. But I don't know. I think you guys are just as excited as I am about Josh Allen. Again, however he plays or doesn't play is besides the point. It's still just the fact that we get to see him play. He gets to go out and practice all week, which is huge. All the stuff, I always say this, all the stuff we don't see, is just as important as the stuff we see. All the stuff in meetings and preparation. Apparently, he does have the respect of a lot of the veterans, the way he works, the way he conducts himself, which is great. So now it's time to go out and do it. But obviously, what we see on Sunday is what we react to. But that's just as important. And he needs to go out there and give us something, please. Give us something. Give us something. Because obviously the Jets get to see their shiny new toy. He goes out and plays pretty decent after the first throw of the game, where it was a pick six. But after that, it was all smooth sailing. But you saw the game plan for Darnold. It was very easy. It was very easy. And if they knew their plays on defense, they certainly knew their plays on offense. It's like, oh, it's the Patriots defense and the same offense that we saw them run. We knew their signals, all that stuff. How easy of a game was it for Darnold to play where his defense got 5 interceptions and returned a couple for touchdowns? It was so easy. There was no stress on him whatsoever. He made some nice passes, though. I will give him that. The one touchdown pass to Robbie Anderson where he got even with the safety, he made that play, and he trusted his receiver to make the play. And those are the things we were supposed to think about Allen, where he's going to let the ball fly, let it go. For me, you throw the pass deep, it gets picked. Shit, there's your punt. Down inside the 10, there's your punt. Oh, well. Oh, but if he throws it deep and there's a flag, oh, illegal contact, pass interference, oh, there's 35 yards, or there's an instant first down. Well, and an instant first down. That's fine with me too. That's the whole point of having a quarterback that can push the ball down the field. 1, the defense has to respect it. 2, your receivers are more excited because they know they're going to get those chances down the field. 3, you get the real opportunities for those penalties, for those calls. Bills for a long time haven't gotten those calls. Notice how they rarely ever get those calls because Tyrod got to the point where he wasn't throwing it deep ever, just early part of year 1, and that was it. And then this year, Peterman, 1 game, it's just that bad. That bad. But yeah, guys, this is exciting news. Sorry I had to write the epitaph on last week's game again. That's just how bad it was. But yeah, Josh Allen's going to start, and they're going to be without Joey Bosa. It sounds like Joey Bosa is going to be a no-go. That's a good thing. The start is at home, which is a good thing. But after that, they go on the road. And I don't even want to talk about that yet till after we see this week. But they're facing an 0-1 Chargers team who kicked the shit out of the Bills last year in L.A. I've probably called them San Diego a few times just out of habit. But the L.A. Chargers, they come here. So it's a West Coast team coming east. That supposedly helps. There's some statistical thing where that plays a factor. You're at home. It's the opener. The energy is going to be up. You just got your ass kicked in week 1, so you think the team would want to, like, hey, what the hell was that? That's not who we are. That's not who we are. It's early enough to change that around. And San Diego's got a very good pass rush, but I don't think they're this elite top-flight defense. I think there's places to exploit if you're able to, stabilize the game and not let it get away from them too early. But I know you guys are just excited as I am. Thanks for coming in the room, everybody who did. Yeah, Braum is garbage. Shame Peterman's not as good as Braum, I don't think. Not even close. But great stuff, guys. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll get on after all. If you guys want me to do another thing after the game, let me know. Just inbox me, whatever, and I'll do that. Not as long of a chat. Hopefully we'll have a good chat to talk about. Either way, even if they lose and Allen shows flashes and looks good, we can talk about that. And they don't get their curb stomped into the ground and their pants pulled down. That would be nice. But if we're talking about a win that would be great too. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Take care. Go Bills. let's hope, let's all get behind Josh Allen. Hope he plays well.